Welcome to Love Talk. This is Gregory Morgan, and I'm happy to be back here this afternoon. Today, I want to talk about something that seems to be a mystery. It's kind of shocking to most people, and it's a reverse paradigm, if you will, on how most people think. And so I'm going to call this show Nothing Will Make Me Happy, and Nothing Will Make You Happy. Maybe that's a better name. Nothing will make you happy. Now, what does that mean? You know, does it mean like no matter what you do, nothing will make you happy? Yes, it does mean that, actually. It means that most people are outwardly focused. In other words, most of us are working very, very hard to achieve something. And the thought in the background is that once I achieve this, once I have this or do this, then in the outside world, then I will be happy. So I'll work really, really hard. I'll focus and train and sacrifice and do whatever it is I'm going to do for a later happiness. This idea that happiness is later and that you must do something to get it, and usually that something may even involve doing something unpleasant for a protracted period of time, I believe comes from our religious backgrounds, our shared religious thought that heaven or nirvana or bliss or ultimate happiness is somewhere else. Wherever it is, it's not where I am. It's not here. It's not in my family. It's not in my bank account. It's not in my work. It's not in my body. Happiness is somewhere else, and it's outside of me, and I must work hard to deserve it and to achieve it. Now, this is a thought that's running in the background like a program in your computer. It's the basis or the paradigm. That's why I said it's a paradigm shift. Basically, a paradigm is a frame of reference. It's a frame of reference that seems to give everything else, make everything else make sense. A paradigm is something that gives rise to a whole network of thinking because it's based on some commonly agreed upon understandings. That's what I mean by a paradigm shift. So the paradigm is, or the basic thought is, that happiness is out there somewhere and I'm going to go get it. Okay? Simply put, I'm going to achieve it. I'm going to work hard. Maybe if I, all the way from being a good person on the simplest level, just simply doing good and being good, and then maybe I'll have a place in heaven, maybe they'll let me in. Maybe a reluctant God will finally, say, okay, you can come in and be happy. That's one paradigm. End of the spectrum of that heaven is later or bliss is later paradigm. The other end of that spectrum might be martyrdom. Might be like, if I sacrifice myself and completely, like even kill myself and some other people, then I'm going to be happy, right? Then this reluctant God will say, hey, this guy gets to be happy, or this woman gets to be happy later. Now, there's really no actual evidence for any of that. I mean, if you have some, please produce it. But there's no actual evidence that any of that actually works. What there is evidence for, and the evidence that I'm going to produce during the context of this show, during this talk, is that happiness is here and now, waiting to happen. It's not later. It's not out there. It's nowhere else. The purpose of this talk, the purpose of this show is to give you access to the happiness that's already there, waiting to happen, just waiting for you to step into it and enjoy it. But first, let's just look at this idea that is in your life. It's been in my life. It's still in my life. It's because it is so prevalent. We've all generally agreed upon it, regardless of our religion, regardless of our philosophy, regardless of our cultural upbringing, regardless of our nationality, our race, anything like that. We as human beings kind of comes hardwired into us that happiness is later. You got to wait for it, work for it, do something to attain it. And the evidence that I have from my own observations, from my own life, and from working with people is that when you get that thing, that circumstance, that relationship, that bank account, that job, that financial situation, that partner, whatever it is that you're working to achieve, that diploma that was supposed to make you happy, doesn't. It doesn't make you happy. Oh yeah, it might juice you up. You might have a moment of, a thrill, a jolt of energy that could last months, weeks, years. but it didn't give you happiness. Maybe gave you some energy, maybe gave you some more opportunities and some more possibilities. However, it may have cost you a lot. However, it didn't make you happy. Nothing out there will make you happy. Happiness is an internal state. There is no external circumstances that are going to alter the internal state called happiness in a lasting and true way. So nothing will make you happy. That's one point of view of this paradigm. How many of you thought, when you were a kid, you were thinking, man, if I could just get a bicycle, I'd be happy. If I could just get a girlfriend or a boyfriend, I'd be happy. If I could just when I'm married, I'll be happy. Or when we have children, then we're really going to be so happy. When the children grow up and get out of the house, then we're really going to be happy. When they go to college, we're going to be happy. When I get that new job, then I'll be happy. When I have my own business, I'll be happy. How many of you thought that and have worked very, very hard to achieve some of these goals? Once you get past the momentary jolt or the satisfaction of having achieved what you worked so hard for, take an honest look at your life and see if it really made you happy. Now I'd like you to look back in the other direction and look at moments in your life where you were just peaceful, where you may have been alone, or you may have been with others. You may have been enjoying a meal, or you may have been sitting alone looking at nothing. Some of the happiest moments are when there is an absence of noise, an absence of, I don't just mean physical noise like the fan was making, but I'm talking about the noise of the thoughts and energy and conflicts and relationships that keep us troubled, the turmoil. That's what I'm referring to when I say the psychic noise, the psychological noise, the emotional noise of our lives. When all of that seems to quieten down for a moment and we begin to see from a newer perspective, there's a sense of well-being, like all is well, that I'm going to point to that is internal. When I'm speaking of happiness, I'm speaking of that. A sense of well-being. Sure, there's all different levels of happiness, of course. There's just the quietness of a well-being, like all is well. There's no trouble, no ripples. Everything is going well. That's a kind of happiness. And people ask me all the time, how are you feeling? How are you doing? And I check, right? I check my body first, because that's the first place I know where to check. I just look internally at my sensations instantly. You all do that. You scan your body and it's like, yeah, everything's all right, right? When my body isn't giving me any trouble at all, nothing hurts, itches, aches, I'm not tired, I'm happy. That's a state of well-being that, like, nothing's bothering me. That's good. That's a good state of being. So on the very simplest level, happiness is just the presence of nothing, and that's what I mean when nothing will make you happy. The presence of nothing bothering me, nothing going on. But let's take that thought a little bit further. What if that state of calmness, that state of well-being, that inner happiness was something that you bring to life? What if that doesn't even exist? Let's take that away. Let's take that away and just say nothingness doesn't make you happy. Nothingness is just nothingness. Life doesn't make you happy. Life is just life. Life is going on. There's a time when you're here, and there's a time when you're gone. And the world and the life and the universe and the stars and the grass and the ocean and the mountains and the trees and people and humanity, they were doing just fine without you, and they will continue to do just fine when you're gone. In other words, you're a blip on the screen, ultimately, and if you're here to try to get some happiness from life, life doesn't actually care if you're happy. Life is just doing life. Life is going on. The grass is growing and then it's dying. Trees are growing, they're falling over. The ocean's flowing, it goes in, it goes out. Mountains crunch up out of the earth. Snow falls, that melts, goes down, becomes water, comes the ocean again. Life is just going on. There's cycles of life that are just happening. People born, people die, there's diseases, people get wiped out, there's wars, all kinds of stuff is happening independently, apparently, of you and I. It's just going on. The thought that you should go try to get some happiness from that, in my point of view, in the point of view that I'm asserting here in this program today, is ludicrous. It's misinformed. At the very least, it's misinformed. To try to get some happiness from life, you may not. But one thing that I can promise you from my experience is that it will be passing at best. It will not be lasting. It will be momentary. You certainly can gather some momentary happiness, or at least a momentary absence of pain and discomfort. For most people, what they call happiness is that the pain stopped for a while, that their internal dialogue, their internal emotional turmoil was quiet for a while, and they call that happiness. That's for the most part, that's why people drink too much, eat too much, smoke too much, take drugs, gamble, do crazy things with their lives, sexually, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, in an attempt to blot out, temporarily at least, the pain of not being able to find satisfaction and happiness and fulfillment from life itself. If it seems that I am drawing a dismal picture, it's because it is dismal. It is dismal. It is a sad pathway that leads to, at the highest end of the spectrum, one day you die, they bury you, somebody throws some dirt in the hole, and then they go, I'm hungry, what do you want to eat? And they all go eat. That's on the high end of the spectrum. On the lower end of the spectrum, you end up dead and nobody even cares, right? Nobody even notices. That's the other end of that. Attempting to get happiness from life is not going to bring you happiness, and that's my point, and that's really dismal pursuit. So let's take the other end of that. Let's shift that conversation dramatically 180 degrees. And what if happiness is something that you bring to life? What if there's no happiness out there? What if there's no such thing as happiness? And it is a declared state of mind that you create, because I can tell you something, your happiness is not the same as my happiness, although it makes me very happy when you're happy. My happiness is seeing you happy. The more people I can see become happy, the happier I get, personally. That's my take on life. That's my mission in life. I want to bring happiness to life, and that's why I'm having this conversation. I'm having this conversation because the point of my life is to bring as much happiness, fulfillment, possibility, opportunity to as many people as possible while I'm here. For the little blip of time that this thing called Gregory Morgan is on the planet, I would like to leave a legacy of happy people. So it's something that I've chosen to bring to life, not because life gave me happiness, not because I was able to extract some happiness from life, because believe me, just like you and everybody else, I worked hard for many, many years to attempt to make myself happy from the activities and circumstances of my life, to work hard to accomplish things I'm glad I did, and all of those accomplishments I can't say made me happy. However, they gave me more possibilities, they gave me more opportunities, they gave me insight and knowledge, and with those insight, opportunities, and knowledge and freedom, I discovered that happiness was a state, an internal state, and it was achieved by declaration alone. It's simply put, you are happy because you say so. That's the simplest way to put it. I'm happy because I say so, and so are you. You're happy because it is a declared state, and if you're looking for evidence of it, if you're looking for support, if you're looking for people to vote on that, if you're looking for validation of that, you're not going to find it. Not really. You may get some people to agree that you're happy. It's beside the point. Only you can declare your own happiness. And so happiness is a declared state of mind. And so that points to another phenomenon that we have to discuss if we're going to discuss happiness coming from the inside out. So happiness is something the point we're making right now is that there's nothing out there in the world is going to make you happy. Happiness, second point. Happiness is something that you bring to life itself. You bring happiness to life. That raises the question, how do I do that? Well, it's very simple. It is a declared state of mind. It is an internal state. It has physical sensations. It has mental, it's a mental stand that you take. In other words, when I say to take a stand, I assert and I am willing to back it up. That's what I mean when I say I take a stand. When I say I assert something, that's different than I propose or I invite you to consider. When I say that I assert something, it means that I'm saying this is true and I'm willing to produce evidence for it. I'm willing and able to produce evidence for it. I'm willing to back it up, in other words. Happiness is a declared state. It's something that you bring to the world, and now that raises the question, well, that's a funny way to talk, Gregory, what do you mean by a declared state? Nobody talks like that. That's a funny way of talking. So what is a declared state? The United States, for example, of America is a declared state. The Constitution says it in the first line. It says, we the people of the United States, we declare, all the pages of the Declaration of Independence. They declared their independence from England. Okay, now I'm using that because it's the one I know. I'm sure there are many other places where people have declared independence. And then they were willing to produce evidence for that, right? And some of the evidence they had to produce, they literally laid their life on the line. It cost lives to produce that state of independence called the United States of America. Now, that's a state of independence. There are people, you know, if the leader of a country says, I declare war, one moment there's just fighting. The next minute, it's a war because somebody who had the power of declaration says, I declare, and then something became true. When you got married, or if you got married, or when you do get married, there will be an official who is empowered by the state and religious agreements to have the power to say, I now declare, or no, he says, I declare. I now declare you man and wife. Husband and wife, because they have the power of declaration. Now, if some guy on the street says, I now declare you man and wife, nothing happens, right? He has no power to declare that. He could say it all he wants. No, it's not. They're not going to give you a joint bank account at the bank with the same name just because somebody declares that. It has to be an official, right? It has to be somebody who has the power of declaration. When the school officials, when you were children, said, I declare today is a holiday, no school today. Everybody was happy for a while, right? They got a jolt of energy because it was a new state. It was a state of freedom declared by somebody who had the power to make that declaration. Am I getting through? Declaration is something that is said that causes a state change. First you're unmarried, then you're married. First there's no war, then there's war. First there's obligation and subservience, and then there's independence. So a declaration is something that you make an assertion or a declaration, and then you're willing to back it up. You're willing to produce evidence for that. You're willing to cause that into reality so that it becomes a real state that is seen, experienced, and agreed upon out there in the world, okay? So I'm saying literally that what's out there in the world is not where your happiness is going to come from. Your happiness, your real, lasting, true happiness, your happiness that cannot be taken away, is going to come from the inside. It's going to be a declared state that you're willing to produce evidence for continually in the face of no agreement. If you're waiting for everybody to agree, you'll wait a long time. The world doesn't necessarily agree with everything that you declare, and you have to take a stand there. That's what I mean when I say you're taking a stand. That's a mental exercise. That is something that you apply your personal will. There's something called willpower, right? And that's where you set an intention and you will it. You say, this will be, I'm willing to take a stand here in the face of no agreement and cause something nobody's voting on. I don't need anyone's vote. I don't need anybody's authorization. I don't need a higher power to give it to me. I don't need an outside force to agree with me or vote on it and then declare that it's true. I alone will make this declaration and cause it into reality, and then something begins to happen on a molecular level. Remember, we are mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual beings. Multi-dimensional reality. If you think you're just your body, well, then you're living in one dimension. If you think you're your mental state, that's sad. Okay, it's not who you are. It's a shadow of who you are. If you think you are your psychological state, again, only part of the story. And then there are those who think that they're only spiritual, and then they have trouble paying the rent because they're not grounded in the physical world. You know, because they're so busy being in the spiritual world. I've been one of those people where it's like the physical world didn't matter that much to me anymore. No, you have to be mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually balanced in order to be a powerful human being, in order to be able to have the authority, the self-given authority, another way of saying that, to be the author of your life. In order to write your life story, you have to have the authority, authorization, the authority which comes with accountability, responsibility, and commitment. In other words, you make a commitment and you give yourself the authority to fulfill that commitment. And when somebody says, wait a minute, I don't agree with that commitment, here's all this evidence that that commitment's not going to happen, or it's not true, or it's not like that, you stand there anyhow in the face of the confusion and doubt that you may have, in the face of even whatever it brings up in other human beings, and you say, no, I'm happy. I'm bringing happiness to life. I'm bringing love to life. I'm bringing fulfillment to life. I will do it. And if nobody else does it, I'll do it by myself. I don't need your agreement. I don't need your authorization. I don't need your vote. And I don't need your help. I would love to have all of that. If I can't have it now, we'll see later. And so you keep standing for whatever it is that you're standing for, declaring your happiness into the world. Listen, this is easy. This is not a fight. This is not a struggle, you know. And where I say that most people slip off of their commitment to be happy is they decide to be happy, then other people show them all the reasons why they shouldn't be happy, or the world shows them all the reasons why they shouldn't be happy, or somebody rear ends them in a car accident, or they trip and twist their ankle, or get fired from their job, or you know, their lover leaves them or cheats on them, or any number of things could happen. This internal state of declared happiness then gets attached to an outer circumstance in the world. And when that circumstance goes away and dissolves, as all circumstances do, all circumstances are temporary. All conditions are temporary. They're just passing. Some last longer than others. When the circumstances of your life change, if your state of happiness is dependent upon them, if your state of happiness is attached to them, naturally your state of happiness will dissolve, disappear, along with your circumstances that you have considered erroneously were the source of your happiness. Let me go ahead and make this answer this call. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
I personally read a lot about happiness, and I listen to you all the time and other psychologists, and I work very hard for myself to be happy. I consider myself a very happy person because I actually work on it. I believe that anything that you want in this world, you have to work for it, including your happiness. Like you exercise, you read about, and as you be happy inside. But I have one problem. That is when you work very hard and you make yourself very happy from inside, there are people around you, like, for example, your father, your sister, your relatives, that constantly bugging at you, and they are unhappy, and they are transferring their unhappiness to you, and you actually cannot advise them because they don't consider accepting your advice or anything. So would you please talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, let me address it for you too, because you brought up 2 points that you brought up 2 points. One was the first thing you said is I work very hard for my happiness, and so I want to address that one first, and then also that other people are disturbed by your happiness sometimes, or will show you evidence for why you shouldn't be happy, or they're not going to let you be happy.
No, like for example, they like if constantly one of your relatives, say for example your father, constantly tell you, I have a headache, I am dying, I need you to sit by me. Some people, this is I'm sorry to say that, but this is Iranian culture, old-fashioned culture, that if you are unhappy, you want rest of the world sit around you and be unhappy with you.
Yeah. So I got that completely. That's why I'm having the show. So you're right with me. Where you're at is exactly where you ought to be. And I'm glad you asked the question. Give me an opportunity to address it, because I really got that. And that's why I brought it up, is that when you declare happiness as an eternal state, you don't have to work for it. And that's what I wanted to point out. And I got it, that you work hard, you study, you read things, you exercise, you do all the things that give you a condition. And I want you to keep doing those things, okay? I mean, don't hear me wrong. Keep going to the gym or yoga or whatever it is that you're doing, because there are things that are a reflection of your internal state that you do in the world. If I'm happy, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym and get my body in shape, because why not? It feels good, right? In other words, I can bring my happiness to eating ice cream or to shoveling dirt. It doesn't matter. I can be happy in either state, right? I can be happy in a room full of people, or I can be happy completely alone in a room, right?
Yes.
So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the undisturbed happiness. And I can also be happy when miserable people are telling me their miserable stories about their miserable lives and wanting me to participate in their misery. I can still be happy.
How? That is what my question is.
Good. Thank you for asking. It is an internal state that you declare that and this is where you want to do your exercise. Keep doing your exercise at the gym, okay, or whatever it is you're doing. But when you're doing that exercise, you can tell yourself, and you can say that in words to yourself or just as an internal thought to yourself, as long as you're communicating, your conscious mind communicates with your subconscious mind. Does that make sense?
Yes.
When your subconscious mind and your conscious mind are connected and communicating, something's happening that's not happening with most people. So you've purposefully told yourself, for example, as I lift this weight, my ability to become happy is getting stronger and stronger. And I visualize, for example, an internal core of golden light that's happy. And it's just, every time I lift this weight, it just gets brighter and brighter and more undisturbable. Okay, or if I'm running, I'm just getting stronger and more free and more happy. So you can apply this internal exercise to your physical exercise, and it's even more effective. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yeah. So when the core of your happiness becomes so strong that nothing can disturb it.
So you're actually saying you don't care?
No, I'm not. I care very much, but it doesn't. That's beside the point. Of course I care. But does if somebody is
because they are
suffering, does me getting in there suffering with them, does that help them?
You feel so bad that they are not happy and they make you unhappy.
No, no one can make you unhappy. Make is a codependent word that is used by people that don't want to be responsible for their own internal state, in other words, their own life. Okay? Watch out using anything that you use. When you use the word somebody makes me or I make somebody, that's impossible. You can't make somebody happy or unhappy. That's not possible. Only they can make themselves happy, and I'm sorry, but that's the truth about that. Most of the time I don't tell people on this show that, hey, what I'm saying is the truth, but I would like you to relate to what I'm saying to you, like possibly it's the truth, okay? And then you go find out for yourself. But I'm telling you that happiness is an internal state, and your access to it is by your own declaration and your own taking a stand for happiness. Then you bring that happiness to life. That doesn't mean that other people aren't going to throw up all over it and argue with it and try to destroy it. I didn't say that wouldn't happen. That will happen, okay? When you bring happiness to life.
And we have to deal with it.
Listen, I'm in the business of I've literally made my entire life, and my wife and our entire life is about bringing happiness and love to the world. I don't go around telling everybody that, but that's the truth. That's what we're up to. That's why we created a company. That's why we work 7 days a week. That's why we work, like about 18, 20 hours a day. We do that not because it's work, but because that's our purpose in life. That's what we want to do. That's what makes us happy. Now, do you think if you did that and you made enough people happy, do you think there might be 20 or 30 or maybe even 100 people that hate your guts? There would be people that won't like you if you go around making people happy. I can tell you firsthand. There's people that will try to stop you from that.
Yes.
And my evidence for that is that people calling our office, going to our website. This television show is blocked in Iran. Our website is blocked in Iran. The phone number that you see on that screen, both of them are blocked in Iran. Making people happy makes some other people really upset, okay? Mm-hmm. And some of them may be your own parents who are operating out of an old model, and this is the model that I say this with all the love in my heart, I'm committed to destroying. I'm committed to destroying the addictive, self-destructive paradigm, I used that word earlier in the show, basis of thought called codependent relationships, which is the only kind of relationship that your parents ever learned, and they learned it from their parents, and then they taught it to you, called you have to make me happy or I'm going to make you unhappy. It's a complete lie, first of all. It's completely a lie. I can't make you happy, and you can't make me unhappy. Only I can make me unhappy if I choose to get unhappy about something you're doing or saying. If I choose to get unhappy, then yeah, okay, I got unhappy, but I gave my power away. Do you understand?
Let me ask you a question. When you see that they are blocking your phone number in Iran, and you are a happy person, do you that the fact that they are blocking your phone in Iran, does it make you unhappy? Does it have any effect on you? Do you get mad?
Yeah, it makes me more determined. It makes me know that I'm doing something right.
So what do you tell yourself?
If I wasn't having any effect in the world, then they wouldn't bother me, right?
Okay.
And I don't want to make this about the phone number and all that stuff. I'm happy. Whatever they do, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Like you wake up in the morning and you are a happy person, and you actually do have a happy wife. But
yeah, it's not a default state that's given by being a human being. What I'm trying to tell you is, I don't care who you are or how enlightened you are. When you wake up in the morning, you probably have 1,000 things on your mind and need to go to the bathroom and want to drink a water or some coffee or something. And so you don't just wake up and go, wow, I'm so happy. No, happiness is something that you declare. You decide to be happy. You choose to be happy. You choose to bring happiness. It's an exercise, just like choosing to go to the gym. Why do you go to the gym?
To make me happy?
No, you go to the gym to get exercise, right? They don't have happiness at the gym. They have exercise machines.
Yes.
So you go there to use the exercise machines. Why do you use the exercise machines? Because they make your muscles stronger and your heart stronger and so forth, right?
Yes.
Now, when your muscles and hearts are stronger, what does that affect your mental and emotional state?
Yes, it does.
Of course it does. But you don't go there to get happy. You go there to exercise. And one of the results is you feel better, right?
Yes.
Great. So just like you go there and you do some things that may be unpleasant, nobody really likes to lift heavy weights or sweat a lot. Most people don't anyhow. It's a lot of hard work, right? Just like you go and do those exercises so that you can change something to feel better, so that you then are stronger and be more effective in your life, choosing to be happy and bringing happiness to your life as an internal, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical state. Because think about it. You could do this right now. Everybody that's watching this show, if they want to, you don't have to, but I invite you to stand up. I'm not going to stand up because my head will be out of the camera. But stand up and just stand up and put your feet flat on the floor and let your arms hang down, and then just let in your heart, right here in this chest part, just let it open and just say, I am loved and I am happy. And allow your hands to open and stand like a happy person would stand. Stand and feel what it feels like to be happy in your legs and your back and your feet and your face, and allow your face to be happy. I
do that all the time.
Okay, you do that, but most people never do that.
I stand in front of pretty flowers and look at flowers and do that.
Anybody could do that. Now, what I'm trying to point at, anybody can stand like a happy person and imagine what it feels like to be happy. What I'm trying to tell you is that happiness is an instant declared state. It takes zero time. Do you understand the difference between a declared state, which takes zero time, nothing, instant? Instantly, you can feel the feelings of happiness in your body, that's physical, recall and therefore manifest the feelings of happiness mentally and emotionally, and that in itself is a spiritual or psychic event that is energetic. When you do that, by declaration, I want you to know that every cell in your body has receptors, like little radio antennas, you could call them, that receive instantly. And there's billions of them. There's like as many cells in your body as there is stars in the skies. There's billions of cells, and every single one of them instantly get the message at the speed of thought about this happiness situation that's occurring right now. Now, what if you exercise doing that on a consistent basis until it became a permanent state, till it just became a state, and that even when you found yourself feeling kind of down, or if bad things happened, or somebody died, or somebody crashed into your car or stole your money or whatever, yeah, you're going to feel some momentary feelings of like, God, that's, anger or sadness. I invite you to allow those feelings to flow through you. Don't shove them down, deny them, play like they're not there. Allow them to flow through you. They're not permanent. They're just going to go. They're going to come and they're going to go. It's normal to be affected by when your father's miserable. That's normal to feel affected. Just don't allow it to affect who you are or your core state of being. Like, okay, yeah, you can empathize with people. That doesn't mean you don't care, but it does mean that you're not going to allow that to shift who you're being, which is a happy, fulfilled person. And you bring happiness to them in whatever way you can. Kiss them, love them, bring them flowers, say, look, if you want to complain and cry and, be miserable, I'm sorry, I'm not going to jump in there with you. But if you want to be happy, allow me to influence you. Allow me to bring happiness in your life. Now, this is not something necessarily you declare verbally to them, because they would think, wow, you're talking funny. But it is an internal dialogue. It is an internal state that you bring to every situation. Can you imagine? We talk to people in our business. We talk to people who've had horrible, horrible things happen to them. People that have been in prison and have been tortured and horrible things. Can you imagine if I got depressed about that? I would be totally ineffective. I wouldn't be able to do anything. I would just go around being miserable about how miserable the world is and how terrible people are. So I have to maintain a positive state of mind. Otherwise, I'm useless. What's the point? I won't be able to help anybody. So I don't let them pull me to there. I pull them to where I want them to be, which is where they want to be anyhow, which is more happy, more free, have more opportunities in their life, let go of the past and forgive and let go of the things that have held them down or caused them pain. So,
do you agree that you should stay away from people that try to make your life miserable?
Well, yes, there are people, you know them, I know them, and listen, if you decide to be a happy person no matter what, and to bring happiness and fulfillment to the world, sort of not so good news is that you may be lonely sometimes, because not a lot of people are committed to happiness. Most of the people you know are committed to unhappiness, and then they say they want to be happy. But really, what's coming out of their mouth all day, every time you talk to them, is some complaint, some victim story, some poor me, bicho de bad bar story about how life did it to them, and you should feel bad about it.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah, I don't think you should hang out with those people. It's kind of like, every time I go over to your house, you serve me poison. No thanks. I'm trying to cut back on the poison. Thank you very much. Why don't you come to my house and we'll have some healthy food?
It is easy to stay away from people that like friends and stuff, when they're doing that. But when they are close relative of yours, you just cannot stay away from them. I guess you just be in touch with them less than, as less as possible, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's, each each person's circumstances, and I'm certainly, you know, I'm not going to advise people to abandon their families. I'm only going to see. I can only advise you on how to work internally with yourself, and then how you take that teaching or that understanding or that new insight out into the world, which means your family, your job, right, your gym. How you take that out into the world is your individual art form. It's your individual opportunity to work with what life has given you. Because life will give you plenty of opportunities to test yourself and also to make stronger. And you can make a difference in people's lives. But you'd never make a difference by joining them in their misery. That's like somebody sinking in quicksand and you jump in there with them, say, here, let me save you. You're both going to go down. You want to stay firmly rooted, tied to a tree and help them out maybe, but you don't want to get in there with them, right?
Yes.
And some people, I tell you what, you throw them a rope and they won't even pick it up. There's many people I've seen that were so committed to misery that no matter what I threw at them to try to help them, the only thing that would make them happy was if I would get miserable. And of course, I knew that wouldn't really make them happy. So we had to part ways.
People that I'm talking about.
Huh?
They are those people that I'm talking about.
I understand that. And listen, it's hard to be happy about that, isn't it?
You are absolutely right.
Yeah, it's hard to be happy about losing people to misery. However, given the choice, goodbye. You know, if people are committed to misery and they will not accept anything else, anything that I try to offer them that's within my ability, you know, everybody has the limits of their ability, what they can offer. You know, and so I can offer insights and wisdom and teachings that I've gathered from my life. You know, some people, you know, you just got to get in your pocket and give them a check. You know, that's the only thing that's going to help them. You know, but even that never helps. So you just, at some point, if they're committed to misery and you're committed to happiness, you're going to part ways anyhow.
Thank you very, very much.
So the sooner the better.
You did answer my question. I really appreciate. Thank you.
I appreciate your question. Thank you for calling.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
A man of character, responsibility, and resourcefulness. Become that man and join us on the journey towards manhood, finding a better person within. Embrace Growth is offering the Honor, Integrity, and Mastery Workshop in Toronto, Yerevan, and Los Angeles. Sign up today at embracegrowth.com and see the transformation in your life.
برنامه دنیای عشق با دکتر آزیتا سایان، برنامه‌ای که تمامی سوالهای شما را جواب می‌دهد. ازدواج، عشق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، فرزندان، والدین، خیانت. از یوتیوب لایو استریم، فیسبوک و اینستاگرام لایو. سه‌شنبه ها و پنجشنبه ها 10 شب به وقت ایران و 10:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس. تلفن تماس با استودیو 818 532 6655.
Welcome back to Love Talk. I'm Gregory Morgan, and we're talking about happiness today. And the name, what I'm dedicating the show to is Nothing Will Make You Happy. And I'm working with people to get them to a state of nothingness, because you can't create happiness as an internal state on top of something else. You can't say, well, I'm unhappy, therefore I'm going to work on being happy. And that's the whole point of the paradigm shift that we're talking about, is that in order to work on your happiness, and this is what's invisible to you, and I'm pointing it out so it won't be anymore. What's invisible to you is, if you have to work on your happiness, the already, always there, assumed state of mind is that I am unhappy. Therefore, I must work on my listen, what kind of person works on their happiness all the time? An unhappy person. If you're happy, do you work on your happiness? Probably not. You've got other things to do, right? In fact, if you're a truly happy person, probably what you might want to do is have other people be happy. In fact, if you want to make sure that you stay happy, wouldn't you want to be surrounded by as many happy people who were in their own self-sustaining state of mind, In other words, they weren't depending on you for happiness. Listen, if people are depending on me for happiness, they're going to get disappointed because I'm a human being and I will disappoint people just like you will. If people think I'm the source of their happiness, they're dead wrong. They and only they can be the source of their happiness. So the greatest gift that I could give to you today is have you get to the source of your own happiness. And that's what we're talking about as far as it being a declared state of mind, which is instantaneous. You don't have to work towards it. The only thing that, if there's any work involved, what I would say is the work comes when there's disagreement to that. When other people want you to be unhappy, when other people insist that you be unhappy or join them in their unhappiness, that's when the work begins. And it's all internal work. It's not like heavy lifting. It's just simply that you hold your ground. You stand your ground. When I say taking a stand for your own happiness, that's what I'm talking about. You plant your feet, you stand there, and you declare yourself happy, and then watch what happens. Some people will agree. Some people will want to join you in your happiness, and some people will like to pull you off of your position of happiness, and that's where the work begins. You need to keep constantly making decisions and choices in your life. I'm going to say choices, not decisions. Keep choosing to be happy. Keep choosing to be happy. Choose an internal state that is alive, vital, generous, well, spontaneous, funny, generous. In other words, keep giving your happiness to the world and noticing that there is an abundance and unlimited source of happiness that is not dependent on any outside circumstances. So I'm speaking with a gentleman on the phone that I spoke to on the break, and he's talking about a relationship that he's had for years, 20 years I think he said, in which he was married with a woman. They've been divorced for about 3 years. He was bipolar, and they became unhappy together, and now they're apart, but they're still speaking with each other by Skype and so forth and chatting. And I asked him, do you love her? He says, I still love her. And I said, does she love you? And he says, I think she loves me in some way. So I'm putting you back on the air. Did what I just say correspond to what you understood in that conversation we just had?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think she loves you too, and my evidence for that is she married?
No. And
who does she talk to? Wait.
Link.
Who does she talk to almost every day?
Well, we don't speak every day, but we speak often. I mean, every week, at least twice a month. Call or write on email. We write back and forth. So
I'm going to say this: your life, my life, people's lives, this is for everyone, are made up of the 5 or 6 or 10 or 50, for some people it's 500 people that you see on a regular basis, one way or the other, that you communicate with. Let's say at least once a month, that would be a regular basis. So even if that means your dry cleaner, your grocery store person, the people that work in your office, of course, anybody that you are in some kind of contact with in communication, human to human, I'm going to call that your first circle of influence. Those are the people who actually make up, by agreement, the conditions and the world that you're living in. They make the pool that you're swimming in. They're making the mental, emotional, psychic, and spiritual web of understanding that they call by your name. In other words, there's this one they call Gregory Morgan. He swims in a certain pool of people's agreement. So who I am for you, for example, the people that are watching this show, is perhaps very different from the people that are in my family back in Oklahoma who've never seen my show, never been to my workshops or seminars, never read any books or CDs or DVDs of ours. So they don't know what I am. They don't know what I have declared myself to be and have become in the world. Oh yeah, they've seen me on Facebook, but they're very involved in their own lives, and so they don't really. So when I go back there, I'm the Gregory Morgan from 40 years ago that they knew. And so I don't live in that world. That's not the world I live in. So the reason I'm saying this to you, sir, is that you and your wife are living in a world of agreement between the two of you, in which some kind of love, some kind of laughter, some kind of sharing of life's meaning is still going on, even though you've been divorced for, what was it, 3 years?
Yes.
Yeah, 3 years. But you were together for 20 years, right?
Yes.
When you're with somebody for 20 years, let me tell you something. You don't get over it. You do not get over that, because in 20 years, your body has been through 3 cycles of 7-year cycles, okay? Every 7 years, your body is completely a brand new body. Every cell and molecule in your body has replaced itself, and you're an entirely different person than you were 7 years ago, okay, physically. And mentally and emotionally and spiritually, that is also true. So in 20 years, you've gone through like 3 of those cycles. You're with somebody, so they are in your DNA. They're in the molecules and cells of your body. Their breath, their heartbeat, the sound of their foot on the floor, their voice, the feel of their skin, everything about them, what they like to eat, what it feels like when they're there or not there, they're there. They're part of you. They're woven into the fabric of who you are, and that's true for her and it's true for you, okay? So you don't just get over that in 3 years. I'm sorry, you just don't. So if you're expecting to try to get over that, ain't happening soon. The only way to actually get over something like that is to have absolutely zero contact with that person, absolutely, like cut it off completely, and you don't want to, and neither does she, because you guys love each other in some way. Now, that you were miserable together enough to separate and go your separate ways, and you may even live in different countries for all I know, do you?
Yeah, right now I'm in France, and she's back in U.S.
Yeah.
And actually, I do not want to release this emotion, because I feel that if I release this emotion, I am cheating. I'm doing something horrible, because
I understand. Because your loyalty, your sense of honor and duty. For men, love is bound up with honor and duty, and so your sense of honor and duty and loyalty to what's true. And what is true is that she's a part of you, and you're a part of her, and love is there. That's what's true.
Yes.
Okay, and you want to be true to that, and that's honorable.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand that, and I empathize completely. I understand that, and I want you to know that I support you. And so before we got over the break, and I was speaking to you, I said most people are unwilling to do the things, the radical things that will have their unfinished business get complete. You have what we call, in Embrace Growth, we call it unfinished business, right? Very simple terms. And anybody could understand. You have some business with this woman in this lifetime, and it's unfinished. It's incomplete. It's not finished. And how I know is that you can't stop thinking about her, and she's talking to you all the time. So it's incomplete. So what most people never want to do, even if we tell them, even if they pay us tons of money and we tell them 10 times, or we yell at them, or we make them write it down, or whatever, they don't want to necessarily do the things that would get something absolutely complete and that's over, that never bother you again. Would you like to hear what I think you ought to do?
Yes, sure.
I think you ought to get something that would change her life, and go knock on her door and say, look, I don't care what, I'm here forever. I'm not going away. I'm going to stay right here until we resolve and complete whatever it is that's in our life. Either, if it ends with, okay, I'm done, complete, never call or talk to me again, because honestly, we're done. And I love you, and goodbye, right? Or whatever other form it takes. In other words, do whatever it takes. And I mean that in every sense. To actually get it complete. Because guess whose life it is? It's your life.
Actually, today I wrote an email that I'm on Skype, and left a message on the phone that if your home Skype me to talk. And also, I was thinking today that
it's too easy.
Too easy. Enough of this madness between me and you for 3 years, and is it possible to finish this madness?
By madness, are you talking about insanity or anger?
No, it's not anger. The madness I'm calling about the separation, that we are separated. So I call this madness of both of us.
Okay, I got it. So I suggest you call things what they are. It's a separation. Madness is a story about the separation. You see, there's the separation, which is real. You're really separated. that it's madness is your commentary, opinion of, in other words, it's an interpretation of your separation.
Yes.
It could be that she saw that you were being together was madness, right? I mean, you separated for some reason. Maybe that was madness then, right? So I want you to begin to relate to the facts of life. The facts of life is that you both care about each other. That's easy. I assert that, and my evidence is this, that you talk to each other, that you think about each other, that you're in each other's thoughts, and that they're not bad thoughts necessarily, or you wouldn't talk to each other. They're kind of good thoughts, or else you wouldn't reach out.
Can I mention two points?
Sure.
One,
I got 2 minutes left, so I got to go fast.
Okay. People, they told me that it's just you're used to it, and you were roommates, and all this nonsense that it didn't feel this, what we had between each other. The second thing was, last year I committed suicide in Nice, and I was 10 days, 11 days in hospital.
Well, you didn't commit suicide because you wouldn't be talking to me now, right? You made some gesture in an attempt to have a better life. People, listen, people that commit suicide and are still alive, those are people who were crying out, taking some radical action in hopes of having a better life. You wanted life to be better.
A dog saved me on the mountain.
Fine, a dog saved you. An act of God, you know, whatever. But you're still alive.
Yes.
Okay, if you wanted to be dead, you'd be dead. And that's a fact. And you know it, and I do too. Okay, people that want to be dead, they're dead. Okay, that's people that commit suicide and survive. They're just trying to get a better life, and they're at their wits' end, and that's the best thing they could think of. That's the best possible solution they could have to attempt to feel better about their life. Okay, because anything that radical is, and I can listen, I can get that. You're like, I don't know what else to do. Maybe this will work, right? I understand getting to the end of your rope and not knowing what else to do. But even then, if you really wanted to be dead, you'd be dead. That's just what's so. People don't fail at suicide. If you really want, there's so many easy ways to die that it's just, you know, it's hard to mess that one up, right? You know.
I took more than 50 strong sleeping pills, and I was out for 2 days on the mountains.
I believe you.
The dog with the owner came, and this.
Yeah, well, I believe you, and that's a very good try, but you're still here.
Well, in a way, I'm very happy that I'm
happy you're here too. And you called a show called Love Talk because you talk to somebody you love all the time on Skype. So what I'm suggesting you do is don't email her and call her and text her and do all those easy things that you've already known that, you know, remember I was talking on the break, I was saying you're looping. You think, feel, right? You think about her, you feel some things. You think about her, you feel some things, and that's depressing. That will lead you to depression, and then, you know, maybe you'll try to suicide again. But if you want to get out of this, if you want to complete it, you need to do something radical. So it's think the way out of depression, or the way out of looping, which is the path to depression. If you're looping, you have some circumstance in your life that you're always thinking about and you're always having some feelings about. And then you think about it some more and you have some more feelings. That is the formula for depression. The way out of that is think, feel, act. Think, feel, act. Now, when you act, you're going to have some thoughts about that and you're going to have some feelings about that. But then you're going to act again. And you just keep taking actions in line with the thing that you're thinking and feeling. Mm-hmm. That will move you forward up out of the hole you're in. And, you know, listen, your first actions probably won't do it. I mean, it's very rare that somebody's kind of depressed about something and the first thing they think of, they go do it and bing, it's all over, right? That's kind of magical thinking. That's childish to think that way, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you're completely bankrupt and all of a sudden, hey, I got an idea, and suddenly you're rich. That's not going to happen. Rare. You know what I mean? But if you say, well, look, I'm kind of depressed and I don't have any money, maybe I should go get a job, or maybe I could call this person or do this thing, or maybe I should go get an education about this thing. Those are actions that will lead you towards getting out of being bankrupt, right? Yeah, you got to take those actions, and most people don't want to. They'd rather indulge in their depressive feelings of think, act, because why? Because it's familiar to them. They don't have to go outside their comfort zone. I know exactly what to do when I'm depressed, right? You know exactly what to do when you're depressed because it's a familiar place to be for you. It's like an old friend, your depression. So why kill it, right? Why do something really risky by taking some radical action, right? So what I'm proposing is do something that will break that cycle by getting on, not just getting on the phone or Skype with her, get an airplane ticket. Then you got to go get on an airplane, you know? Pack your bags, fly over to wherever she is and say, I'm in the hotel down the street and I'm here to resolve things with you. Let's meet at this restaurant and talk or whatever it is that we're going to have to do because, you know, we got to get this resolved. I do not want to go back to France and talk to you on Skype. I want to talk to you right now. Let's get this handled. Do that and call me and tell me how that worked out. She may say, get the hell out of here. I don't want to see you. I don't know. Then you can be depressed about that. But anyhow, they're telling me my time's up and I got to get off the air, okay?
Yeah. Well, it was great talking to you, and I think I have to call her.
Yeah.
To talk with you and to show you.
I'd be happy. I do sessions. I do private sessions with people by Skype, phone, all the time. So you're welcome to do that. You can set that up by calling the office, okay? But now I really got to go. I'm like 3 minutes over time, okay?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for watching Love Talk. Thank you. I will be back here again next week. Good evening.
The Embrace Growth app is finally here. You start by signing in, just as you would online, and from there, you'll see all of your account settings. Once in the app, you'll have access to events and all of Embrace Growth's original content. Registering for workshops and seminars is easier than ever, and tools for managing your profile and options are built right in. Schedule private sessions and connect with the global Embrace Growth community. Download it today on the App Store. A man of character, responsibility, and resourcefulness. Become that man and join us on the journey towards manhood, finding a better person within. Embrace Growth is offering the Honor, Integrity, and Mastery Workshop in Toronto, Yerevan, and Los Angeles. Sign up today at embracegrowth.com and see the transformation in your life. Welcome to the Embrace Growth app. There's a new way to communicate and join in. Create your free account online and sign into the app. Manage your profile on the go and choose between English or Farsi. Register for events and schedule appointments more easily than ever. Stream audio, video, and download books all over Wi-Fi or cellular. Sign up for workshops and seminars right on your phone. And access your audio and video library in the palm of your hand. Take your favorite lessons from Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan with you. Download it today on the App Store.
برنامه دنیای عشق با دکتر آزیتا سایان، برنامه‌ای که تمامی سوالهای شما را جواب می‌دهد. ازدواج، عشق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، فرزندان، والدین، خیانت. از یوتیوب لایو استریم، فیسبوک و اینستاگرام لایو. سه شنبه ها و پنج شنبه ها 10 شب به وقت ایران و 10:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس. تلفن تماس با استودیو 818 532 6655.
Embrace Growth has a new home online where you can easily register for workshops and events, order from the online store, and be part of the worldwide community of Embrace Growth graduates. You'll be able to see Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan in your favorite seminars. Visit us today at embracegrowth.com. A haven for the weary soul, a source of inspiration and community, redesigned to bring you meaningful experiences and unforgettable events. We are a worldwide community of vibrant individuals, displayed in the people who are a part of it, from many nations, backgrounds, and beliefs. Through powerful outreach programs, the struggles of everyday life are confronted and conquered. transforming those who participate into the best versions of themselves. One-on-one sessions are available to keep you headed in the right direction, coupled with the best resources to remind you how to live, whether at home or elsewhere. Programs designed for men, providing the building blocks of maturity, commitment, integrity, and leadership, paving the way for productive and fulfilling manhood. Beyond an understanding of masculine leadership is its application in daily life and development into something truly unique. Exclusive training for women, encouraging growth and empowerment through an acceptance of their true identities, redefining interactions, and changing the viewpoint through which life is seen. Embracing the woman within and accessing facets of your personality hidden beneath the surface. Showing our youth the value of integrity and reliability by creating an indwelling desire to succeed with honor, basing the future on a solid foundation of ideals that will guide them through life, leading by example, and showing others how to clearly convey their thoughts in a compelling way, creating a culture of mature leaders who can help others achieve self-confidence and their goals. Real people and real lives are changed for the better. With every event, more are touched and come to an understanding of their place in this world and their community. Embrace Growth is run by a passionate team and led by the diligence and inspiration of Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan, who consistently teach life lessons based on what works, rather than the passing fads of the times.